Hi, this is Calandra. In this video, we'll cover solving quadratic equations by the quadratic formula. There are three ways that we can solve a quadratic equation: by factoring, by the square root property, and by using the quadratic formula, which we're going to cover in this lesson. For any quadratic equation in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, we can find the solution for x by using this formula. We take the opposite of b, plus or minus, so there are going to be two possible values, the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. So for any quadratic equation, once you identify your a, b, and c, and notice that you have 0 on one side of the equation, you can always use this formula to come up with your solutions. So the good news is that if you have trouble factoring, you can always use the quadratic formula to solve your equation. It always works, whereas you may have an expression that does not factor. So for our first example, we're going to solve this equation using the quadratic formula. So first, let's make sure we have the right format. We do have 0 on one side, and I can see what my a, b, and c are. A is the number in front of x squared, so that is 2. B is the coefficient of x, which is negative 3, and c is my constant, which is 7. So now I apply my formula. So x will equal the opposite of b. So since b is a negative 3, the opposite of it is a positive 3. Plus or minus the square root, b squared, negative 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times a times c is 14, divided by 2 times a. 2 times 2 is 4. So notice that I did some of the multiplication in my head because it kind of helps to cut down on arithmetic errors. Now I need to simplify my radicand, the part under the radical. So we end up with, and I'm just going to enter this in my calculator, 9 minus 4 times 14 is negative 47. And all of this is still divided by 4. Well, we don't want to leave a negative under our square root. We know that that means we can bring an I out. So we have 3 plus or minus I square root of 47, all divided by 4. And that's our answer. Okay, going on to part B. We want to solve, again, using the quadratic formula. But we cannot use the quadratic formula yet because it's not in the right form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So the first thing that I need to do is to distribute that x so I can get rid of those parentheses. So we have x squared minus x is equal to 6. Still not in the right form because I need 0 on one side. So I'm going to subtract the 6 over. And now I have my equation equal to 0, and now I can use my quadratic formula. So first thing I'm going to do is write what my a, my b, and my c are. A is the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. B is the coefficient of x, which is negative 1. And c is our constant, negative 6. So now we're ready to apply our formula. So x will equal the opposite of b, which is going to be positive 1, plus or minus the square root. B squared, whenever you square something, your answer is going to be positive. So remember that b squared is always going to be a positive number. Negative 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times a times c is negative 6, all divided by 2 times a, which is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So now we just need to simplify what's under our radical, and it looks like we'll have a 1 plus 24, which is 25, all of this still divided by 2? Okay, the square root of 25 is 5, so I have 1 plus or minus 5 over 2. So I have two answers that I can simplify. One will be 1 plus 5 divided by 2, and the other is 1 minus 5 divided by 2. So we end up with 6 over 2, or 3, for one of our solutions. Here we have negative 4 over 2, which is equal to negative 2. So those would be our two solutions for part B.